Good morning, folks. It's very early in the morning here in Las Vegas, and I don't normally do this speaking to the camera thing, so forgive me if I'm a little awkward. I also have not had nearly as much coffee as I'd like. But in light of the post I made the other day about keeping soft armor in a backpack, particularly for those working in entertainment business, and just having an extra level of protection. A lot of people reached out to me through DMs, emails, texts, just the influx of people that I was really glad were interested in this kind of thing. And they were asking me about more details about the soft armor, as well as what else that you can do to give yourself a bit of an edge in terms of safety. So I thought maybe I'll just take my standard laptop bag that I travel with and go through that and just show you the little things that you can keep in a bag that can potentially be life-saving. Some of this stuff's a little more extreme than others just because it's the nature of what I do. Don't just take it for what it's worth. If it helps you, great. If you want to ignore it, that's up to you. At the end of the day, you have to expect to self-rescue. No one's going to come and save you. You are your own first responder, and you just can't rely on other people. And you should be somewhat prepared for things. So, without any further ado, let's just go through the bag and see the things that we do keep in here. First and foremost, on the outside of it, there's a lot of garbage in here. So I do keep printed copy of my passport is something that floats around in there. A mask. I've got some weed gummies, which is always nice. Yes, masks for COVID and all that nonsense. Masks are a very good thing, particularly for those working in festivals. If you didn't start wearing a mask before the pandemic at a festival, you really should have, because you're breathing in a lot of crap all day long. There's never any shame in protecting your lungs. It's just a good thing. Most importantly in here, I always keep a high fin vent. This is for a sucking chest wound. These get deployed over the hole of an entry or exit wound. If someone is stabbed, shot, has a horrible accident where maybe a piece of rebar has gone through them or something, you're able to respond to that, and this can be an extremely life-saving thing to have. And as you see, it takes up literally no space in the bag. It's super thin, it's very easy to carry. You're just sliding it right into any pocket in your bag. Keeping that copy of a passport, very handy if your passport gets stolen while you're traveling. I don't think anybody that travels for a living does not know somebody that has had their passport stolen at some point. It's really an unfortunate thing, but it can help significantly process your new passport at the local embassy that you're in. It also provides some level of non-official identification as to just who the hell you are, what kind of citizen you are. Things that can be very handy. On the top of the bag, I keep these little wire aircraft loops. These things are like, I don't know, $1 for 100 of them or something. They're really cheap. Very handy. Simple things, just hanging things up anywhere. Sometimes if you're in the rain, you just want to keep something elevated. Depending on how heavy your bag is, you can use it to hold your bag up. Keep it off the wet floor. On the front, this is just a blood type marker. This is just something that, particularly in the military, everybody knows their blood type, and they've got it listed on things. If you don't know your blood type, the next time you get physical, which you should be doing yearly, and they do any blood work, ask for them to do that check. You usually have to ask for it. It's not something that they do all the time, because you only really need to do it once so that you know it. But it's extremely important to know your blood type. Mine particularly be positive, and I keep that on there. I've had bad situations where things got chaotic and you didn't know whether or not you were going to make it out. taking a Sharpie and writing that blood type on your extremities can be very handy. If you are in a traumatic situation and you are unable to communicate, local paramedics being able to know what blood type you are can be an extremely life-saving thing. So it's just something good to know. I keep these obviously on my bag. I have it on all my scuba gear. Any activity that I may be doing that could potentially have a bad accident. It's just a good thing to have. All right, now into the junkyard of my bag. Headphones, all the technology, all the nonsense, bunch of protein bars, protein shake. These are things I just have for when I'm stuck in airports or stuck on planes when they won't let me off and I'm starving. But arguably one of the least expensive and most important products to have in your bag is a tourniquet. I'm amazed that it's not more popularly pushed. Tourniquets are arguably the most life-saving device on the planet. In this particular instance, I have a tourniquet holder that can be clipped onto my belt loop or slapped onto any other gear if I've got to run around into a place where I don't want to have my bag with me the whole time. Or maybe you're running around a festival site or you're just going sightseeing. You can throw this in whatever little bag you may be taking or just clip it onto your person. This particular tourniquet is called a RATS tourniquet, R-A-T-S, it stands for Rapid Application Tourniquet System. And it's the only tourniquet to my knowledge that can be employed with one hand on yourself. Traditional tourniquets, most of them take significant practice to have to do with one hand on yourself, if you can do it at all and you can do it properly. The RATS tourniquet system is specifically designed for you to have an arm, so be incapacitated and be able to undo this, get it set up, get it on yourself and employ it. And they're very inexpensive. They're very easy to use. It takes about 2 minutes to read the instructions and actually try it on yourself the first time. And they stow back very easily, so you don't have to worry about it. It's not some one-time use thing. They're really great. They're so great, in fact, that these are ones that are branded for my company, one of my businesses, and we give these away as swag in many instances. They're just a really, really good thing to have, and you can have them on anything. Scuba divers, such as myself, that actually dive a lot or work a lot with sharks or any dangerous sea life, you keep these on your BCD while you're diving. God forbid there's a horrible accident on the water and a shark makes a bad mistake. You can employ this underwater very quickly, and that can absolutely be a life-saving device, particularly if you need to be doing safety stops and or in a remote part of the world. So that's a really big deal, and they're very easy to have around. You should just have them everywhere. Being able to stop massive hemorrhaging on a human being literally is the thing that will save a life. And when accidents happen and you're there first before any paramedics can get there, you may very well be the one giving the life-saving measures, and that could be it. This $10 rubber band, that is basically what it comes down to. What else? We've got a basic first aid kit. This is by a company called Live the Creed. They make these very portable first aid kits. They're really great. It's got gloves in it and all sorts of extra stuff you need to stop bleeding, to patch yourself up. Very simple. This particular one is set up so that you can do it on a belt loop. Obviously, I'm just throwing it in my bag, but this type of stuff is once again good to be able to have on your person when you don't want to be carrying your bag, but you do feel you might want to need a first aid kit. So that's really handy. The illustrious Altoid tin, we'll get to that in a minute. That's a kind of a more in-depth separate thing, but these are really handy. inside this little pouch, I just keep some basic things like a refill of Advil. What else do we have in here? Some extra batteries for a Surefire flashlight that I keep in here. You always want to have a flashlight. I happen to keep these things called Attipals. These are signal markers that have a plastic backing, a sticky backing to them. And you just press them on and off. They can flash different ways. These are just handy to have in a low light situation. You can stick them on something where you just need to be able to see quick. They're quick disposable, waterproof, submersible, very simple stuff. Here I've got a signal mirror, and I mean, this is like basic Boy Scout stuff, but if you're in a situation where you get separated from a group without transportation, or you're stuck in the middle of nowhere and you do need to do basic signaling so that somebody can find you, just having this stupid little piece of plastic sitting in your bag can be a real handy thing. It's also good for fixing your makeup. Then we've got a clotting sponge, Quick Clot. This is sort of an addition to the first aid kit and the tourniquet. Quick Clot is, I don't know, it's almost like this, it's like sand almost. It's a medical sand, for lack of a better term. You're able to put this into a heavy bleeding wound. So if someone has a bad laceration and it's gonna be a bit before you can get proper medical care, you can slap this Quick Clot stuff into the wound. It's gonna seal up and stop that bleeding very quickly. And that's obviously very handy. Then I keep a basic CPR kit. And once again, you can see how tiny these things are. This is really not stuff that's taking up a lot of room in your bag. For anybody to say that, I've got too much stuff, I don't have room for it, you're making excuses. This stuff can slide in, you can tuck this stuff anywhere. But a basic CPR system, this is gonna be a barrier for the mouth, glove barriers, just the basic stuff that you would need to administer CPR safely for yourself. It is one of the more distressful things about administering CPR to somebody, particularly if it's somebody that you don't know, some stranger on the street, perhaps a homeless person is dying you're trying to save. You're just scared as to what they may have. You just don't want to put yourself in jeopardy. Being able to protect yourself safely and save a life is a phenomenal thing. Somebody shouldn't die just because you're worried about getting the cooties. I've got a collapsible water bottle. That's really nothing special. This is just all technology stuff, lots of nonsense. And then inside here is where I keep the plates. Most backpacks will have a notebook or laptop, iPad insert in them. This one has one all the way in the back. It's not the main laptop compartment, which is on the back of the bag, so it's not impeding the fact that I'm carrying a laptop under normal circumstances. But within this, you can put your soft armor plates and slide them in. I use 2 sets in this instance, one each facing a different direction so that I can utilize the bag in any different forward or rearward facing configuration, and it can still be utilized as a shield. Soft armor, as I explained in the post, at the end of the day, you don't have to use the manufacturer that I use. This is a Crye Precision soft armor plate. There are lots of companies out there that make ballistic armor. They make them, obviously this is particularly shaped for a tactical vest. They make just straight square ones. They come in many different shapes and sizes. Hunt around for the one that's best for you. What you're looking for at the most basic level is a level 3A ballistic rating. It's 3A or higher. 3A is basically going to stop all small caliber rounds. It will often also protect against stabbing and slashing, but there are usually different types of plates for that kind of thing. Just the nature of how the technology of these things work. On the lower end, 3A, I don't believe actually stops a stab. So a straight insertion of a pointed device into one of these things, this will be defeated. It's designed to take an impact and disperse that kinetic energy outward, which is what the technology of the vest is really for. I'm bastardizing that description. I'm sure there's going to be a million keyboard warriors that are going to tell me, all the specific ballistic profiling of how these things work. That's the general gist of it. If you want to know exactly how bulletproof armor works, go online, start looking around on YouTube. There's plenty of people willing to tell you all about it. Lots of different manufacturers out there. Another great manufacturer, actually just based down the road from us here in Las Vegas, is Safe Life Defense. And they make all sorts of body armor for all sorts of industries, and they make all different levels of it. One of the things they do specialize in is actual backpack plates, all different sizing for different size laptop bags. And that's sort of the main thing you have to be looking for when you're searching for that kind of thing. Figure out what bag you want to put it in, and then you're looking for the one that's going to be the largest that will actually fit into the bag itself. And you can just lay this on the bottom of the bag. You don't need to be putting it in a pocket, but you obviously having it in a pocket keeps it nice and tidy, and it's not shifting around. You know exactly where it's sitting in the bag, so that when you do have to use it, it's there. One of the key things about having that is that obviously if the bag's on your back, it's protecting you. So if you are running away from an assailant that is potentially shooting at you, obviously you're going to want this on your back. If you're facing these guys, you're going to flip that backpack around and just slap it on you like this, and you've got some level of body protection to get it out. You may look a little silly in life and death situations. You're not really worried about fashion. You just want to get the hell out of there alive. Unfortunately, I've been in several situations in the line of entertainment work where I've had to wear it that way. Thankfully, all of those situations ultimately were diffused without any incident, and everybody was safe, but they were very real, and it does happen. So you do want to have the ability to save yourself. What else do we have in here? In this pouch, we keep a Surefire flashlight. These things are really handy, obviously, for just the general concept of having a flashlight. Surefire makes particular flashlights, and a lot of brands do this now, but they have ridging on the front so that this can be utilized as a weapon. God forbid you need that. I think they used to market this as a PCD, a pain compliance device. They used to market and brand it out. This is a handy one. The tactical pen. These are very popular on the internet. You see these all the time. They're obviously just a pen for writing, but they also have a tip to them. Once again, these sort of rigid aluminum things, very much like the flashlight. It can be used as a poking device. More importantly, it can be utilized to break a window. So you need to get out of an interior window. If you need to get out of a car window in an accident, this can be very handy to smack that out, because the tips are specifically designed. Many of them are carbide tips that are specifically designed to break windows. What else? Then moving on up here. A few odd things. These are definitely the more esoteric of the group. So this is what they call a GTFO wristband. It's just an elastic little wristband, and it has once again, a carbide little bead on the end of it. This particular one actually has a handcuff key on it, which sounds particularly extreme. And I guess it is to some degree, depending on what you're doing. Most people don't intend to have handcuffs being an issue in their lives. But particularly right now, as I make this, we're in October. With Halloween coming up, one of the little known things in society is that this is the most popular time for people with bad intention to purchase official looking uniforms and devices like a police uniform and handcuffs and things of that nature under the guise of it being a Halloween costume. And in many instances of whether it's a terror attack or in many cases just someone in your community doing robberies and things like that, they will impersonate officials. So you'll have somebody that may be impersonating a police officer. They may very well have handcuffs on them, and a very simple thing in having a handcuff key, usually they're not looking, they're not going to search you for that kind of thing. So having a handcuff key to get out of that can be very easy. Once again, I think maybe a little extreme for most people, but what's more important is this little carbide bead that's on here. It looks just like the wheel of a cigarette lighter. And the bead is designed, and I'm not going to demonstrate it on this glass table, but I'll do it on here. It's designed to be sort of slingshot onto glass. So this can get you out of a car window or any window for that matter. You can pop glass, shatter it very quickly and easily without causing any damage to your hands or having to worry about how you're going to break that. And just having that on your wrist can be a super handy thing to have. What else? In here, I've got a basic business card holder with actual business cards. But what we also have on here, once again, something a little more extreme than most. And you kind of have to be into this sort of thing, but this is a basic lockpick set. And it's a credit card style set that can slide into anything very easily. And one of the great things about these types of sets is that they're also easy to slip underneath your wristwatch when you are actually working with them, so that you can have your tools handy while you do the work that you're doing. Lock picking is not for everybody. It is certainly not legal in many areas, so you do have to be mindful. That I should have prefaced everything that I'm talking about here with the legalities. You are responsible for knowing all the laws in regards to anything you're going to carry in your bag in the area in which you are carrying that bag. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse in the eyes of the court, so you need to know what you're doing. One of the questions somebody asked me about the soft armor was, is it legal to carry? Is it TSA compliant? That is completely dependent on the region that you're in. Most of them are completely TSA compliant. You can travel with them freely within the United States. There are some states, however, that prohibit you from having body armor, possessing. You need to know your local laws about that, and you need to decide for yourself whether or not you're going to travel with it, even if it is potentially breaking the law. That's on you. You are responsible for that. What else do we have here? I think this is this is just another little lock picking set that I had in there from somebody else. Lock picking is a really fantastic skill to have. I have found knowing about lock picking to be vastly more handy in my personal life within my own home, dealing with locks that just get stuck and you need to get into, than anything nefarious or life-saving. It's just a handy thing to know. This definitely sounds like, well, I mean, it is what it is. This is a tinfoil hat at the end of the day. It's a square of tinfoil. There are instances in which, and unfortunately, the attacks that happened in Israel were an example of this, where the cell phones and radios were actually utilized as an intercept for locating people for slaughter. The stories that are coming out now, particularly now that we're a week out and more people have been sharing on the internet, it's really terrible. One of the things that can be very handy is to be able to completely block your cell phone signal. 9 times out of 10, you're looking to get more service and more bars on that phone. Actually being able to wrap it in tinfoil, usually 3 wraps around a phone will do it. It's enough to block the RFID or any of the cellular signal coming out of it so that nothing can be traced. Obviously, that kind of thing can be utilized for nefarious reasons, but in terms of a strict life-saving situation, just having a little square of tinfoil can really be handy. A little thing of tahini, because sometimes catering is just dreadful. What else? I think that's kind of it. Oh yeah, so in here I keep a safety pin, and this is just a basic 2-piece titanium lockpick set, and these can be very handy with the safety pin, where if you're in a situation where maybe you're going to get taken, you need to be thinking ahead of a counter custody situation where you want to get out of it. If you're able to quickly grab this, you can hide this and clip it inside your pant leg or wherever, or somewhere on your body where you can get to it later, but it won't be seen right away. Once again, pretty extreme, not something that is going to come in handy all the time, but little things like that and knowing about them can be a life or death kind of situation, depending on what you're in. And now the Altoids tin. So somebody had brought this up because they knew that I did this, and they said, "You didn't speak about that at all." Altoids tins are really great because you can do a lot of stuff with them. And in this particular instance, I made this is basically a mini survival kit. It's wrapped with what we call a Ranger band. Ranger bands are just sort of a heavy duty rubber band. They're really great to have around because you can bind rather large things, and they're super strong. Rubber bands get underestimated quite a bit. But within this kit, we have a lot of stuff. It's always a pain in the ass to put that back together, but for the purposes of the video, I'm going to open this up and show you what we've got. This is one of those little aircraft cable things that I said I kept on the top of my bag. I keep one of those in here. It just sits in the lid. This is a single all-weather match. That's a fire starter, obviously. This can be struck on a rock or any sort of hard surface to ignite, which is really great. And then we've got 2 small fire starters. So once you get that thing ignited, you can use these as quick fire starting tinder to create, obviously, a good campfire. And this is a gag birthday candle. This is one of those candles that never goes out. You stick on the cake, you blow it out, it fires back up. Very underestimated device in a survival situation, in that if it's wet and windy out, you use this heavy match that'll fire up in a wet situation. You get that candle lit, it's going to keep sparking and coming back. So if the winds keep blowing out your fire starting attempt, this can be very, very handy because it'll keep going. Then we've got just a tiny little compass. Knowing north, south, east, and west in a survival situation is huge, particularly if you're doing a festival in the middle of nowhere just like we saw in these terror attacks, those people were running for their lives into the woods in directions they probably had no idea where they were going. Knowing north, south, east, and west, and what's in the general region of where you may need to be traversing can be huge. Then a little flashlight in there. These are good, obviously, for signaling, as well as just generally being able to see. That is a tiny little glow stick. Once again, you can have your own rave, or you can crack this in a very dark situation and be able to at least see around you, and it'll stay illuminated for several hours. Then in here, we've got another signal mirror, and it is wrapped with Technora cord. For those of you that don't know what Technora cord is, it is colloquially known as Superman hair. It's a Kevlar woven cord, and it's really handy. It's super strong. Obviously, you can wrap specific things with it. You can suspend very heavy things with it. More importantly, you can use it as a saw. Technora cord can literally saw through things. So if you need to saw through some small branches or something, it actually works. It's pretty great stuff. Then here we've got some aqua tabs. Aqua tabs are water purification tabs. So if you are stuck in the middle of nowhere and you need to be drinking water, or you're in a foreign country, you decide you want to go down to Mexico for the weekend and you think you're going to be having to drink some water and no other option, throwing these things in your water bottle is going to really help you. What else? We've got another glow stick. Of course, I've jammed all this stuff in here. Now, this little piece is a match striker. So just cut a small little square to be able to fire up that match easily. And then on the bottom of this, there is, and I'm not going to force it out at this point because it's in there nice and neatly. There's a plastic magnifier, which is obviously very good for fire starting during the day, as well as a small square of magnet, so that you can actually magnetize this onto something very easily. But that's it. That's a survival kit, an Altoid tin, all your first aid stuff. And this is just all very, very basic stuff. There's nothing fancy about it. As you see, it doesn't take up a lot of room. It's all that other crap in the bag that takes up the room. And these are things that can potentially save your life or make your day a hell of a lot less stressful just by having some of these things. I highly suggest training on anything. Get some basic first aid training in your life. It's a good thing. Everybody should have CPR training. Basic stuff. This doesn't have to be this extremist worrying about life, death, terrorist situations, all that stuff. Know how to save a basic. Know how to save somebody's life with basic skills. CPR is a massive thing to know. Everybody should be knowing. It should be mandatory. There's going to be far more instances in your life where you're going to potentially need to use CPR or a Heimlich maneuver on somebody than you're going to be worried about getting shot at in a terrorist situation. Having training is everything, and it doesn't have to be some massive thing. CPR classes you can do on a night after work and knock it out. You can get a certification for it. Basic first aid stuff, you can do a class on a Saturday afternoon. And if you're wondering where to go for these things, scuba shops are a great place to go. Any scuba diving supply place is either hosting the basic first aid and CPR training for their own rescue diver certification courses that anybody can take. And if a dive shop is not offering that, they're certainly going to know who to recommend to go to. It's the information age. Ignorance is a choice. Go on the internet and just do a search in your local area to find out where you can get that kind of training. As the old adage goes, a $500 bat don't fix a $2 swing. So all of this stuff means nothing if you have no concept as to how to use it. So just get some basic training on some stuff. And as the other adage goes, ancient weapons and hokey religions, no match for a good blaster by your side. So if you can carry a gun, I suggest you do it. That's it, folks. Have a great day. Be safe. Be loving. Care about your fellow human beings. Save life, no matter who they are, what they do. Everybody deserves to live. Have a good one.